The Strategic Hotbox with Dr. Brandi Stankovic. Discussing leadership, business, and how to take control of your life and achieve greatness. From the streets of Las Vegas, energized, informed, and never diluted. It's time to kick some ass.
Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Brandi Stankovic, and we are back on the Strategic Hotbox in studio. It feels good. And I am here with Dr. Cindy Schell, good friend, serial entrepreneur, also fellow crazy bitch. I don't know. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And today on the Strategic Hotbox, we're going to talk about being an entrepreneur, entrepreneurial activities, entrepreneurism. I'm saying that wrong, Cindy. I mean,
it works.
I mean, you'd think the doctorate would help some of this shit, but it really doesn't. But we're going to talk about being an entrepreneur. And several of you that listen and watch are the owners of your own businesses or have been out there promoting, pushing, selling, hustling. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it takes, the kind of vigor that it takes in order to do that. Throughout my career, I have been in different sales positions. Now, selling myself as a consultant, selling the different products and services for different organizations, but really it's about having that brand, being out there, and also what it takes to make it happen. I have talked to several of my friends and family that want to be an entrepreneur, but don't necessarily have the self-start. And what I mean by that is the ability every day to get up in the morning and make something happen. Because so often as we progress in life, we're being told what to do, or people jump into jobs and being told what to do. And some people function very well in that environment. And then others like to be out in the world, or like to be out in the field, or and out and about with different clients and that type of thing. But it takes a certain amount of vigor, or it takes a certain amount of grit to get up every day and make something happen. Because if I don't get up and work, then no work gets done. If I'm not making something happen, or I feel like I have an off day, then I don't make any money. And I think that building businesses and building yourself, it takes some of that discipline that's required really to make a difference. And so we'll dig into this topic and more. But I want to get back to our guest. I'd like to formally introduce Dr. Cindy Schell. And you have been running all sorts of businesses. Mm-hmm. And as you know, here on the Hotbox, we learn, we love, and we kick ass. So I'm so excited that you're here to help us learn. It's love because we've known each other for so long, and relationships are important to this topic for sure. And then you're going to help us with some kick-ass takeaways. So what kind of businesses have you dabbled in?
Many. I think I met you, in 2008?
Yes.
And I was in education back then. And I worked my way up to being a principal and just decided it was not for me. Mm-hmm. I was being pulled in too many directions. Even though it's similar to being an entrepreneur, I wasn't building my own brand. I was building someone else's brand.
Yeah.
And so then I got into ed consulting, and that's where I sold myself and how I could improve schools. And I developed this great way to get school improvement and to raise the test scores of students. But I got
Did you just see that need and then jump in and say, this is a gap and I want to fill it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's always identifying the gaps and finding and making a need. And that's the way that's the way I've been in business for so long. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I really just didn't like education anymore.
Just fuck adults, right? We don't know what it is. I mean, is that what it is? Or
the system's broke.
The system, yeah. It's bureaucracy. There's political sides to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in 2018, I left my principal job. I resigned, and I became an indie author. And I started publishing books, and that's where I actually learned and honed my skills of what I'm going to talk to you guys about, which is niche marketing. Mm-hmm. I identified 12 different subgenres that I published in regularly, and identifying what the niches expected from each of the subgenres. So it communicated to them, and then they wanted to then buy it and be a part of it. Mm-hmm. And evidently I got bored of that. And
naturally.
Yeah. And on a whim, I bought a tattoo shop. Mm-hmm. And I bought Sheepdog Tattoo. The thing I liked about Sheepdog Tattoo was it was taking the tattoo subculture and cross-niching it with the military brand. Mm. So now it's getting a cross-niche of a community. So that was easier to tap into, the more you can cut down the niche. And then I ended up winning a tattoo shop. Another one.
Winning a tattoo shop.
Yeah. I bought 7 raffle
when
tickets.
you put $100 on black or something.
They were 50, yeah, $50, and they pulled my name.
Okay, like a raffle.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
If you go to my Instagram, you can see it. It's under Black Omen, the highlight. And they pulled my name out of the raffle wheel, and I want a tattoo shop. So then I took over the lease and took over the branding and all that sort of thing, and was up and running. And then there was a fire, and so then I decided to readjust everything, and I moved everyone back into the original operation I had, and I opened up I bifurcated that location, and I opened up a recording studio as well. So now I was a half tattoo shop, half recording studio.
I mean, partial principal, partial best-selling author. I mean, it's all around.
It's all around. Well, we haven't even gotten to the latest.
Oh, okay. Tell me. Well, I have to know the latest now.
So I sold those in August. I got really burnt out with what I was doing, and I opened up a shop. I have 3 Shopify stores and 8 Etsy stores. So
Tell me what's Shopify?
Shopify. It's a platform where you can sell anything you want: digital products, homemade products, handmade, or you can do print on demand, which is what I'm doing, and that's part of what this is.
Oh, nice. Okay. And what inspired you to go down that path?
Again, just researching niches, finding out, okay, there's a video game niche. Can I tap into that? Can I create a product that they want? Everything from travel to places that like to people who like to go on outdoor adventures. That's a specific niche, and they have a way that they like to communicate to themselves. And can I mimic that? I'm not necessarily part of any of these niches. I'm more mainstream, but can I create something that would appeal to them and communicate to them so they want to then purchase and be part of that community?
So do you think this is more of a sickness of yours, or is it
100%. So as I started this new venture, I started about mid-December. Where I was like, okay, this is the plan. This is where we're headed. And I started doing research. I was like, oh, I could create something for this. And then I was like, oh, but I could also create something for this. I think I'm like a maximizer. I think on the strengths assessment. And then I'm like, another thing like this. So then before I knew it, I had 8 Etsy shops. I was like, why can't I just settle down and sell some t-shirts on one shop on Etsy? Why?
Right. Yeah.
And then I started, Shopify. They have no cap on how many products you can have. They don't charge you for how many product. They don't limit you at all. So you could really expand with Shopify. And then I was like, well, then I could have this Shopify store and this Shopify store. So now I have 3. There's still 5 more that I'm going to be launching. And the thing is, if they don't hold water, I'm going to scrap them and pretend like they never existed and move on to the ones that do take off. And I'm really a proponent of the 20-80 rule. So, cutting down the 80% and focusing on the 20, that's making and refining that. And so we continue to grow.
One of the things I love about you, though, is you also figure out ways to make your life easier. So I remember when you were writing full-time and you ended up hiring writers and you also publish books under different personas, or what's the right term for that?
Pen names. So those are different brands. So there's going to speak to a specific niche in each one of those things. And you can't really, do like a romance and then do a mystery. It's not going to sell.
The same author?
Under the same author, yeah. It's not going to communicate. They're going to think it's,
So give me an example of one of them.
Let's see. I'm best known for my lit RPG, which is extreme niche. So it's taking the fantasy and merging it with role play games. And you can have different subgenres of, you can have like apocalyptic lit RPG, and you could just keep going. But basically, if there's a role play game based on it, or you can invent your own game mechanics, then you can write to what that niche wants.
So what kind of RPG is it?
Role play.
Yeah, no, role play game, but what was the
lit RPG. So now you're like instead of being in a role play game and I'm we're doing Dungeons and Dragons at the dinner table or whatever, instead you're going to read one. So they got the same story, but they got it in a nice linear format where they didn't have to meet every once a week with their D&D group. Yeah.
And so then you write a book, or you get somebody to support you writing a book down this super subculture niche, and then it's a bestseller.
Yeah.
And then they look to that artist or that pen name or that that kind of sub person that you have.
There was a time where I was out selling J.R.R. Martin,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, and is it always best because of the niche, or is it best
Absolutely.
so it's, how do you find that?
So it's a lot of research. And because I am mainstream, I don't belong to, the role play niche at all. I have to somehow convince others that I am part of this niche. So it is a ton of research and looking at Google Trends, what's going to be. And so basically what I do is I try and find high ceiling and long tail niches. So someone who's going to want to separate with their money and spend a lot of money on a product. So that would be a high ceiling. Like I'm not going to do something for the crust punk subgenre because they live in abandoned houses and don't use hygiene products at all.
Okay.
So that's the way they're anti-establishment is they refuse to do that. So I'm not going to create a product for them because they're not going to want to spend money.
The money. Okay.
But like a video game niche where they're used to spending big products or even tattoos, which are extremely expensive, they're used to parting with their money. So now we have a high ceiling. And then I'm looking for a long tail that they're going to be my customer for about 7 years is the customer relationship.
That's what you look for. Interesting. Okay. And so then you recreate and you just kind of throw the net out, see what works, pare it down
Absolutely.
to the 20%.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So then what are some common threads that you've seen or principles, things that you have to do across all the different industries in being this entrepreneur?
Okay. So it first starts with this niche research, looking at Google Trends, what's going to be the next trend that's on the horizon. Because you don't want to be chasing the trends because then you're always playing catch up.
Yeah.
So you want to be forward thinking a little bit. So you want to be just getting it where it's the sweet spot. Then developing something in the Goldilocks realm, which is they want it familiar but different. And you have to figure out
Why is that Goldilocks?
Well, because Goldilocks, this one's too hot, this one's too cold, but this one's just right.
Okay. Is this a role play? No, I'm just kidding.
What kind? No. So finding where the sweet spot is between familiar and novel, because the brain likes novel, but it also likes to be safe, and it's part of our evolution makeup. So that's consumer behavior. So understanding the consumer behavior behind this, and then so from the Goldilocks, when you figure out what the Goldilocks area is, and then replicating a product, because you're not going to know what they exactly like, and then testing those, and then from that weeding out the ones that hold water and.
So I started a little bit. So that's one of the principles is kind of the research and being willing to test and try and let go if it isn't, doesn't work.
They're not my children.
Yeah, right. You can't have a baby in everything that you do. That's really smart. Yeah. And I talked a little bit at the beginning about discipline. Does that play a role in what you do?
Yeah. So Apple kindly tells me how much screen time I have every day. And guess what my hours are?
Oh, no.
Per day?
12.
I'm 18 and a half.
18 and a half.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay.
Average a day.
So this takes a commitment.
Yeah. And I've been working since about the beginning of January on this straight. And we're talking like 6 days a week. I take a day off just so I don't burn myself out. But yeah.
Right. Don't burn yourself out after 18 hours a day, 6 days a week. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Wow. And so that it really does take that focus and commitment. Do you think somebody could do it with less commitment?
You can, yeah. It's just going to take you longer. So I want a faster turnaround. So I'm going to put in the work to get that faster turnaround. So absolutely.
Does it take a lot of upfront investment?
At the moment, I've spent maybe $50.
Okay, so not monetary investment, just a lot of time.
A lot of time. I'm doing it very just very like low expenditure right now. I have the Shopify stores. I got them. You can get them for $1 for 3 months just to try them out, see if you could build something. Then you join the print-on-demand suppliers, and you just put up your credit card for when a customer does buy it. They're going to purchase from their credit card, and then Shopify will take their credit card, and what you subtract the revenue is your profit. And then eventually I'll have to run ads when I get there, but I'm not at a launch point yet, but I'm still designing. And I bought a couple of, like I was doing with the ghostwriting, I bought a couple of designs from Creative Fabrica. This one I used AI.
Oh, wow.
So AI, about $30 on Midjourney a month. So very, very minimal on the the overhead there. And I have a graphic artist too that I do contract out
with. So other qualities. So we talked about discipline. We talked about time commitment. We talked about doing the research, being all in. What else?
Organized. Because I manage so many different things. 8 Etsy stores that are all different sub-genres, as well as 3 Shopify stores. So they're all specific brands. So I have folders and, the font types and the typeface for what's going to communicate to that brand. So I have it all laid out.
Very organized, yeah. And so does it take a certain type of brain to be able to focus on this, or do you think that...
I think I have the wrong brain. I don't...
Yeah.
Because I just keep on... It's a snow... I was like, I'm on a snowball. There was a... I was like, I'm now creating SKU numbers because I want to get into Walmart marketplace. Yeah. So I'm like, I created like a 22-digit long SKU number. I'm like, what am I doing? I haven't sold anything yet.
You're like, okay, settle down, pull it back. But then again, that's what makes you great, and that's what gets you out there and ends up creating these products that you get to where you can sell them and try something else. Yeah. Do you think that you like the variety and excitement of it?
Yes. And it's the pursuit of happiness. I get the enjoyment out of the pursuit part. Like Thomas Jefferson said in our preamble of the Declaration of Independence, our inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that when it comes to these, it's also dabbling in something that is fun and trendy in the moment too, and not necessarily putting it all in, like all your eggs in one basket kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when I was working, when I was owning the tattoo shops, like right at Thanksgiving, it was dead, like everything. And I was like, okay, my retail's not up that high to carry me over. So, I already had planned for, the expendable income. They go for Christmas gifts versus doing, spending it on themselves. And it was until they get their tax refund. So about mid-February was that time the slow period I had to ride out every single year.
So you just said enough.
When I was running the tattoo shops, now I did get burnt out. That I was getting pulled in too many directions, and we can talk about the different stories there. And my goal was to build up my retail and sell gift cards too. But I hate doing gift cards because then it's like, but during the spring, during my busy season, here they come wanting to cash them in.
Yeah, sure, right.
So I did want to develop online retail. That was always in the works. Yeah.
So I've played with some of that before, and played is the appropriate kind of term here because of my art that I love to do art, and so I have put up different things with the merchandise for Strategic Hot Box and that kind of thing. Played in some of it, but just haven't ever given it the attention that it deserves. So you think Shopify is the platform?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Eventually, I do have another plan for when I do expand further past Shopify, because Shopify is its own platform as well. So, and there's so many ways that you can get the data from it. There's Google plugins where you could just tell which is the highest selling product of any shop I go to. Yeah. So unfortunately, like that data will be out there for everyone to see and to mimic. And I want to eventually protect those things. So my goal is then to eventually get into Medusa is my next move.
It's another platform.
Yeah.
And what are some things that you wish that you could do better?
Better. I have to stop the snowball thing, and I get bored a lot. Obviously, we talked about like 5 different businesses.
Yeah, right.
So I get bored quite a bit, and I wish I could focus more. I like when I'm ready to hand off the baby, because I do work in every part of my business until I'm ready to delegate it. Like I was cleaning toilets at Sheepdog Tattoo and Black Omen for months until I knew, okay, this is how often they need to be cleaned. This is how long it takes. This is how many products. Like this is how much it should cost to replace this person so I know exactly what's going on. Mopping floors, same deal there. So I work in every single part of my business until I'm ready to delegate that out or hire out.
And you don't think that's a good quality, or it is?
It does prevent me from expanding or from working on, I'm cleaning toilets instead of working on money-making endeavors. But I'm also lowering the overhead and figuring out exactly like what a cleaner should cost.
So navigating all of this at the same time must be difficult. How do you keep your head on straight?
So I'm a big proponent of Evernote. So Evernote is like my second brain. I use that. Oh, you do? Isn't it great?
I love it. I've been using it forever, for like 10 years. Yeah. It's great because you could log into it anywhere.
And you could like photograph your handwriting, and it has the character recognition that it.
Oh, I've never done that.
Oh.
You must have really good handwriting.
No.
But what I love about it is I can share with my colleagues, right?
Oh.
So you can share certain pages. So Zach or Katie or different people that I work with can access certain pages, and then I keep the travel information in there. I'll start a client note, then you create a client folder, and all the notes go into the same folder. Like, I love it.
Yeah. So I can keep everything with me all the time. So that's one of the ways I keep organized.
Yeah. Do you ever have a problem with the digital side of things, like not being able to access? Yeah. What do you do in those cases?
I used to have a binder that I kept everything, like a backup of, like all of my EINs. Need those. All the utilities that I used to have. I used to call, like, electricity's off.
Right. Yeah.
Who do I call?
It's funny that you talk about the old school way, because I teach a financial literacy class out in Boulder City, as you know, and I talked to him about keeping some things old school. Now, maybe I'm getting old, but it sounds like you're on the same page. Like, I have a binder with all of my business stuff in that I keep locked away, and I've got a binder of my important bills and all the usernames, all that kind of stuff, like, because it's that sometimes the digital ends up screwing you, because if you can't access it, what are you going to do?
I mean, how long have I waited? Like, we're not getting enough Wi-Fi or cellular network where I'm like, come on, Evernote, load. I need to look up this number. Yeah. Instead, I just go to the backseat of my car. I'm like, okay, here it is.
Here we can move on from it.
Yeah.
So if you could offer to be the young entrepreneur that's out there that's saying, I want to just dabble in one of the things that Cindy's dabbling in, where should they start?
Well, first pick something, and like, people used to ask me, like, what should I write? Because I was an author for so many years, and I haven't published a book since 2022, so it's been a few years, but I plan on circling back. But they always ask me, what should I write? And I'm like, write what you love, because it's going to be something that you're in. They're like, I want to write what I want to make money. What if what I love to read, it doesn't make money? Well, then you have to do your research and find out, what subgenre is going to be coming up next. So that would be the first place, is either pick something that you love, that you're part of the niche subgenre or whatever, or pick something that, hone in your research and to find something that's going to pop off in the next few months.
That is a different kind of hunger, though, that you bring up, right? Because people say to me, I just want to make more money. Anything I can do to make more money. And if that's the case, then do what you got to do to make money, right? But also figuring out what your purpose is. And I don't know that I always like saying, find your purpose, find your passion, because then people just, have an excuse to be lazy. But really finding that purpose. I was having a conversation with a friend recently about, I'd rather make $50,000 a year as a scientist trying to find the cure for cancer than make $5 million a year as an OnlyFans or selling my body or something. Like, I just would. That's my preference. It's who I want to be on the planet. I want to serve the planet and leave it a better place. But having an idea of what that purpose is, because I also love to make money, in some ways, who doesn't? But
I was a teacher for
yeah, right. But not enough to go outside of my value system or go outside of what my purpose is on this planet, right? So it's a balance within that. So if somebody wants to write for fulfillment, then finding something that fulfills you and recognizing the income that can come from that. Or if you want to write to make money, figure out the gaps, understand the story, that kind of thing.
Right. And for me, I don't necessarily have like a affinity to any one niche. I'm not a member of them. But what I do have an affinity for is all of this invention and the testing and the data and the research, and then the marketing and then communicating to that niche. And so that's what is what drives me. And I think you create your purpose versus finding your purpose. And
creating it. And that, obviously, that energy and that vigor that you have going at it is unparalleled. Let's be real. I think that is what makes you special at that piece of it. So understanding how much they want to give and the commitment of time. I mean, just the fact that you give that kind of time and you have yet to sell a product shows that you'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm tenacious.
Well, I think that I'd love to ask you some questions where you fill in the blank.
Okay.
All right. You good with this? If I could, I would blank every day.
Run.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of times I don't have the energy or the time to go out and get a good run in and, clear my mind, clear the head. And feel the endorphins. Yeah,
I was gonna say, but why? But then I thought that wouldn't be an appropriate or sweet thing to say. Okay, fill in the blank. The world would be a better place if
there was more understanding among us.
Just between human beings.
Yeah.
I think the world would be a better place if there was more understanding. I agree with you. Well, hold tight. We're going to head out to a shout out and come back, and we're going to leave people some kick-ass takeaways.
All right.
Hola a todos, soy Mariana de Argentina, estoy aquí en Madrid. Escuchen a Brandi en Hotbox.
Thank you so much to Mariana for providing that shout out there from Madrid, Spain. Such a beautiful soul. Thank you for being a part of the Hotbox. Okay, Dr. Cindy. So, you know, my middle name is Love. For anybody that's listening that doesn't particularly know this, my middle name is Love, right? I'm sure you've heard it before a million times on the podcast. And Dr. Cindy, she spells her name Sindy. And so she's Dr. Sin and I'm Dr. Love. This is quite the duo. Yeah. I like it. All right. So if we could leave our listeners with some kick-ass takeaways, what would they be?
It would be finding the high ceiling, long tail niches. That's where the money is. The riches are in the niches, you know. I hate to be, you know.
I love that. Riches are in the niches. It's great. And that means it's like a less pompous way to say it too, like a niche, right?
I know.
So riches in the niche. Love it.
Because that's how I was able to have a career for so long, is it just targeting the niches and where they're going to spend the money and how do I communicate to them.
Yeah, I love that. And understand the long game of it too. Yeah. And you providing that 7 years is a really great way to do it. Another takeaway, I think, from everything that we talked about is to the 80-20, how you apply the 80-20.
Yeah.
That just throw the net out there, especially if it's an area market that you're dabbling in that you don't necessarily live and breathe, right? To be able to see what sticks and then focus on that 20% that does.
Right. I don't know the different typefaces or the phrases, you know, I'm making t-shirts right now, that are going to exactly appeal to them. So I have like 10 of a saying all in different fonts, and it's a test to find out what they're going to pick, and then okay, we're going to go with that one, and then I'll discontinue the rest and we'll move on.
And I think that's a great other takeaway is the fact that if don't make everything your baby. Don't make everything this wholesome, loving thing that you have to hold on to. That's definitely my problem. When with art and selling art, I'm like, but I love it. How come no one else loves it? I know art is in the eye of the beholder, but it's like, it's such a, you know, like everything ends up feeling like a baby.
And it can be a formulaic process too. The creative process can be very formulaic. And it's like Goldilocks aspect as well, is finding the balance between the familiar and the novel.
Love it. If people wanted to get a hold of you, how could they do that?
Well, I'm launching the Shopify store. It is a work in progress, so nothing is definitely complete. But if you go to saydistinct.shopify.com, you can check out my store and see the products I've been designing.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being in my life and motivating me to do crazy shit. I appreciate you very much.
Appreciate you too.
For those that don't know, you can get this episode anywhere that you like to stream and look at content. So we got YouTube, we got all social media platforms. We even got a Roku app. So if you're hanging out on the couch, you can see us in what we do. And we're also out there doing a lot of little snippets and bites and fun little teaser pieces and getting you all the content that you want. Strategic Hotbox with Learn, Love, and Kick Ass has always been a promoter of making everything accessible to you. So you can get all of those things in places that you like most. And I'd love to hear from you on topics that you'd love us to cover in future episodes of the podcast. And you can email us at podcast@strategichotbox.com. Thank you again to Dr. Sin. Thank you to all of you for being here. Until I see you again, get out there and kick some ass.